Hi, this is Dr. Eric Fields. Today, I'm going to be discussing motivation. This is such an important topic. I really can't stress it enough. So, a lot of times in my practice, when a patient is seemingly trying really, really hard to change his or her behavior, and they keep failing time and time again, one of the things that I often like to return to is assessing how committed they are to their goals. So, in other words, intellectually, they may have concluded that they need to make these changes. However, there's a disparity between having a rational opinion about all the benefits of changing their behavior and how they want to do this, but emotionally still not getting on board in a sense. And so we have to return to really trying to look at their reasons for changing and make sure that these are sufficient. For me, I don't like to overly complicate things. Basically, as human beings, our decision-making process of whether or not to engage in a behavior is pretty simple in the sense that we have a scale, a mental scale in our mind, the case to change the behavior, the case not to change the behavior. All that needs to happen is one side of the scale to be a little bit higher and the other lower, and the decision is made. So if here is the decision to lose weight, but here is the decision to not lose weight, there's more evidence on this side of the scale. And so therefore, you are not going to be committed to that goal. And you're either not going to try to achieve that goal from the get-go, or you'll give up rather soon. At the end of the day, it's that simple. And keep in mind, the evidence that you have to change or not to change your behavior is really based on your own interpretation and perspective. It's not necessarily based on reality. So also understand that, because that's something you have to look at. Is my perspective about the evidence on either side of the scale, is that accurate? That's something you have to really look at. You need to really think about how motivated you are to change this behavior. What is the evidence on this side of the scale, and what is the evidence on this side of the scale? And you have to really look at that. One thing I emphasize in my private practice with patients of mine is to be brutally honest with themselves. So in other words, it might sound all well and good. I want to change my behavior because it's not healthy. It's causing me distress. It's causing me guilt. I don't like myself because of it. It's causing me problems socially, at work, emotionally. And that all sounds great. But if they're not honest and really able to figure out what the evidence is on the other side of the scale, the evidence contrary to changing the behavior, they're not going to make any changes. And so, yes, maybe this is the evidence, and maybe that sounds great, what they just articulated. But if on this side of the scale, it's too scary to change my behavior, this behavior serves a really vital psychological function for me, I don't know how I'm going to address that psychological or emotional function without it. It's going to be too difficult with my hectic lifestyle. You need to be honest and really understand what the counter argument is, because ignoring it, denying it, or even poo-pooing it and saying things like, oh, well, if that's what I think, that's ridiculous. But it's not ridiculous if it's actually sabotaging your plan every time you try to set out to lose weight. So you have to be really honest with yourself. And you also have to be honest with this side too, because again, those reasons that I just listed before, those possible reasons may sound really good, but in your mind, if they're really not that important, like you don't want to give yourself or anyone else lip service and say all the right things, so to speak. It has to be true. It has to be true. These reasons to change your behavior that you're listing have to be really true. And they have to be powerful. If they're not powerful enough, then you may think that the scale is like this. But in essence, it's really like this. These reasons are not powerful enough. They're not enough to tip the scale. What are powerful reasons to change our behavior? Well, I have found emotionally charged reasons are the most powerful. And I would add to that, that if you have an emotionally charged reason to change your behavior and a very intellectually based one as well, a logical argument, that is probably the absolute top of the tops in terms of the best reasons to change behavior. So in other words, I want to change my behavior and lose weight to be healthier is a logical, objective reason, but it's not very emotional. Sounds like something you'd read in a textbook. I want to change my behavior because I want to get healthier so that I can live a longer life, so I can be around to see my grandkids, so I can have more quality time with my kids and be more active with them, so I can serve as a positive role model, so that I can influence them to make healthy eating a part of their lives. Now that's a powerful reason. I want to lose weight to look good doesn't sound like it's got enough bite to it. I want to lose weight to look good for my partner and feel more attractive to him or her, so that I can really reignite that romantic spark that we once had. Now that's powerful, right? From both a logical perspective, but also an emotional one. The emotional one is the most important. It trumps the logical perspective, one can even say. But of course, having an argument that has both of those aspects is going to be the most powerful. This is something you really, really need to look at. I want to be able to look in the mirror and feel good. Now, that doesn't have such a objective logical aspect to it, in the sense that, you know, what is looking good? It's subjective, right? But it's emotionally charged. So even a reason that is mostly emotionally charged is a far better one than one that is just intellectual, logical, objective. To feel good about yourself, to feel more confident, to feel like you're on top of the world because you've finally gained control of this aspect of life that has, eluded you for the longest time. Those are powerful reasons. So find powerful reasons to change your behavior. And before you do that, take a look at what the reasons are as they stand right now for changing behavior versus the reasons not to. And don't say that you don't have, that there are no reasons not to, because that's not true. If there were no reasons to not change your behavior, you would have changed it a long time ago. There absolutely have to be reasons. Probably one of the main reasons is that this overeating behavior serves some kind of psychological or emotional function that you're worried you'll not be able to address without food. That's definitely most likely one of the main ones. But you need to dig and figure out what it is exactly that you're getting from food. Like, that's not enough. Keep peeling that onion and figure out other types of reasons that you have. But be honest with yourself. Don't sit there and say, like, I just don't have any good reasons. I've had patients tell me that so many times. I don't know why I keep doing this. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to be doing this. It's all bad. It's not all bad in your mind. If it was all bad, you wouldn't do it. Remember, the decision is very simple. But the problem is, if you don't figure out what the counter argument is, then you may falsely assume that there's no good reason for doing it and that you're crazy because you're doing this behavior that has no benefit. You're not crazy, I assure you. I've dealt with people with the most intractable addictions, and their behavior from an objective viewpoint looks crazy, but it's not. Because in their mind, there are some really good, well-defined reasons for doing it. They might be irrational. They might not be based on, they might not take in all the evidence of reality, but in their mind, in their world, it makes perfect sense to keep doing the behavior that they're doing. So if you feel like you're really struggling with losing weight, first take a look at the reasons why you want to lose weight in the first place and the reasons why you don't. This is Dr. Eric Fields. I'll have more at another time.